In this film I'm looking at the woodwork and blacksmithing on a lovely old Victorian cart. This one's about 1880 and it's got the metal rimmed wheels which were coming in around that time. The actual cart itself is at Wimpole Hall, and you can see how the wheels at the back there, the large back wheels, are actually dished, so they lean out very slightly, and that was necessary with old carts because the horse would waddle along and the cart would effectively swing from side to side very slightly, and if the wheel wasn't dished then it would actually break up. So I mean, modern motor wheels, obviously they aren't dished in that way, but with the cart wheels the side to side movement needed the bracing of the dishing, and that's why they have the dishing there. With this cart the extra capacity was given to the cart by having the rave boards along the top so you could carry a wider load, and they were supported by these lovely buttress pieces of metal called strouters, and they were actually very nicely made. They're sort of fatter at the base and they get thinner to keep the weight down as you go up the height of them, but lovely quality fittings, and the standard of blacksmithing on this cart was very nice indeed to look at. The cart was a little unusual, this one, because the planks go across inside, which means if you're shoveling, your shovel hits the plank. Often they put the planks lengthways. Looking underneath the cart you can see where the axle boxes have been sunk into the frame, and here's a wheelwright who was actually, I saw, replacing the axle boxes on another cart, and you can see they're about 2 foot long, the axle boxes, and part of it sunk into the cart frame and part of it actually sticks out on the axle there. And here's the wheelwright at work, working on a hub. Great fun to see, and actually a very knowledgeable person to talk to. The wheel centres are actually cone shaped, and here's one you can actually see which runs over the axle, and they're held in the hub by being forced in with little wooden wedges just to compress the wood and hold it there, and that's all that's keeping the wood on. There's a traveller for marking out the sides of wheels, and here's a close-up detail of the spokes and the felloes on the wheel with a metal rim. The metal rims are actually quite heavy. I mean, a 5 foot wheel would weigh something like 150 £, and the rim could weigh something like 90 £, so you'd need some pretty strong people to actually shift that. It was put on by heat, by actually heating up the rim in either a very large oven or out in an open wood fire, and then put on the wooden wheel while it's hot, quickly doused in water so that it would shrink and form a really tight fit on the wheel. This cart had bumpers at the back, little metal bumpers, so if the cart was reversed up into, say, a railway carriage, it wouldn't get damaged as easily. You can see here the turning mechanism, and the front wheels were made so that they could go semi underneath the cart, not totally, but that increased the turning circle, and that's why the front wheels are smaller than the rear wheels, really just to facilitate turning. The whole cart had all its surfaces shaved off, keep the weight down and to save horse flesh, and the shaving probably took about 1/8 of the cart's weight off. So quite a substantial weight reduction by doing all that shaving. It obviously looks very much more attractive, and it's smoother on people's hands if they're working with it, or on the horse as well who's pulling. The rivets here on the side of the cart were beautifully done, lovely sort of flush rivets, really attractive to look at. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed looking at that cart. I certainly did, and thanks for watching.